All right, we are live for another episode. And on today's episode, I interview a purpose decoder and purpose coach. Her mastery is IFS therapy, human design, astrology, and intuitive work, which allows her to deeply support aspiring conscious leaders and spiritual entrepreneurs into an expanded life purpose. She holds a BA in political science and a master's degree in government and public policy from Pepperdine University. Welcome to the winner circle, Vanessa Soul.
Thank you. It's so good to be here with you, Derek. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're doing so much amazing things in the world, and I'm excited to delve into those and your story, which got you to where you are today. The goal of these conversations is really to uplift, inspire, and empower listeners to move forward with greater faith and belief in themselves on their personal journeys, of stepping outside kind of their safe, known worlds, and finding success and thriving in like the alternative, the discomfort, the taking chances, the pursuing of their must. The conversation as such are pretty positive, and the positive situation, the first question sets us up as such, and that is, what do you love about your personal world right now, Vanessa? Not about like the external world, but what do you love about your personal world?
What a great question. I love that every day I wake up and create a beautiful reality. I love the theme and concept of beauty. So I create a beautiful day each and every day. And not only that, it's like I get to help others do the same thing, creating a beautiful inner world. So that way it could like ripple out and we all end up co-creating this beautiful external world when it all connects.
So, what does your beautiful inner world look like, and then how does that ripple onwards to your beautiful external world?
What does it look like? Literally or figuratively?
Both.
Okay, okay. Well, I love meditating. I love meditating. I love working with my personal energy. Kundalini yoga is a great practice. If anyone has ever heard of it and you haven't yet tried it, maybe give it a try. I absolutely love Kundalini yoga. It really creates so much inner stability, inner peace, inner calmness, confidence, courage, all of those things. And it's something that we do with our body. You know, it's a type of yoga, but it's not like the typical type of yoga. Although all forms of yoga can create some inner stability depending on your cup of tea. Uh, but meditation, Kundalini yoga really allows me to create a beautiful inner reality, and then by the time that I'm done with my morning routine or I'm ready to do my daily tasks and responsibilities, I'm just exerting beauty. I'm just exerting peace and like calmness and all the things.
Mm, incredible. And another question I ask every guest at the start of the conversation so that our listeners can kind of get an idea who they are, that pertains to their mission, their personal mission that guides you in all the work that you do, as an entrepreneur and just as a citizen of this earth.
Yeah, one more time.
Your personal mission. What would
Personal
be your
mission.
personal mission that guides you in all that you do? Whether that be your coaching, your podcasting, being a friend, just being
Yeah.
like a citizen of the earth.
Yeah, my personal mission right now is to help people awaken to their soul's mission, to their life purpose. And it doesn't have to be defined in any particular way. Someone can be a gardener, right? And really believe that nurturing the flowers in the garden is like their purpose. Now, typically we have multiple themes of our purpose. I believe that there's eight. Maybe we'll get into that later in this conversation. It's not just one thing. Most of us are so multi-passionate, and that's actually natural. And it can really merge into one big theme. But I wanted to bring back the conversation of life purpose. And when I say bring back, some of the oldest and wisest philosophers talked more about purpose, and they talked more about like a soul mission. And I'm not sure if it was completely lost. I think maybe it just became a little less popular in our modern world, probably for obvious reasons, right? We're busy, we're we have so much going on. Things are moving a lot faster now than they were when those philosophers were alive. So there's some understandable changes that have happened, but I dive into a lot of psychology books and philosophy books, and that topic was a lot more prevalent. And so and there's some modern people as well. Robert Greene speaks about life purpose, and he calls it really your life task. So there's also different names as well. It doesn't have to be life purpose, life task, mission, the right work. It could be so many different things, but something that you're really called to. So that is my mission, helping people identify what that is. And I really strive to eliminate a lot of the mystery and the confusion that can happen around life purpose. And that's where a lot of the tools and modalities that I use come in, because it helps us. We may not get like 1,000% accurate, but we're going to get pretty darn close with the information.
Hmm. So let's kind of define what that means to you. Life purpose, soul mission. What is that? How do you
Yeah.
describe that to your clients or to people tuning in?
Yeah, the easiest way to describe that is just a calling that builds on your natural gifts and talents. And it really builds on who you are authentically. Now, that sounds a little simple, Derek, but some of us, we're not sure who we are at times in our life. Again, totally understandable. It happens to all of us. And so, because sometimes we are doing things because we think we're supposed to, or sometimes we're just testing things out, right? We're just experimenting with life. We're like, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me try this career. Let me try that. So, yes, experimentation is part of the process as well. Um, so it's really coming back to who you are authentically. Like, who were you? There's a quote. I forgot who said it, but I'll say the quote. It's who were you before the world told you who to be? Who were you
Hmm.
before the world told you who to be? Or who are you, I guess. So that's what our soul's purpose is. It's like before Vanessa got discouraged, before someone told her that she couldn't do this or couldn't do that, what are her highest potentials before some of the drama in her life happened? Now, we don't have to act like the drama didn't happen. We don't have to bypass it. We don't have to shame it. None of that. We just create a different perspective around some of the drama in life, right? Or the doubts or the disappointments or the delays or things that just were a little discouraging at times. And we don't allow that to have power over us, or we embrace it, right? So that way we're holding a nice spot in our heart for it, but we proceed with who we are anyway. And astrology is a really good tool for helping us understand, like, am I naturally shy, or was I shy as a protective behavior? Like, I needed to protect myself. And, someone might think, I'm just using this as a random example. Someone might think, I don't know if I'm naturally shy, or if that became a protective mechanism over time. And I thought, like, okay, no one sees me, no one hears me, it won't be any trouble, right? So astrology is a good starting point to understand, like, okay, who am I beyond the conditioning, beyond the, I use this term loosely, societal programming. Like, it's helpful. It's helpful because we need to learn rules and we need to learn boundaries and morals on how to interact in society. But at times, once you get all that down, once you know your values and you know morals and you're not going to harm someone, you could start to dismantle some of that to give yourself some more freedom, to give yourself some more space. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. How would you describe your personal life purpose?
My personal life purpose right now, there's so many different phases. And like I said, there's 8 themes. I'm in phase 2 of my 8 themes. I know that sounds complicated, but in phase 2, my purpose is to help people awaken to their authentic selves and their life purpose.
Okay. And how are you doing that? Like, what are the ways? I listed some in your bios, but how would you describe the ways you're helping people do that?
Yeah, so I help people do that through a program that I call the Purpose Report. And it's literally giving people the options, right? This is like specific details, specific ideas and concepts. Again, pulled from those modalities that I mentioned, astrology, human design, gene keys, and numerology, really pulling all the options together because I do all the interpretation for the clients, and then I just give it to them almost like a menu, just like as if you were at a restaurant, right? And you get handed a menu. You're like, okay, these are my options. What feels good out of this? Right? So that's kind of how I present the different options for all of the 8 themes that we have. And I can go through the 8 themes as well later if we have
Yeah.
time. Yeah, and so that's how we build someone's that's how we awaken them to some of their abilities and their higher potentials. Because as soon as people see things on this so-called report, right? This purpose report, this menu of options, whatever you want to call it, most of the time there's some kind of connection. They're like, wow, when I was younger, I thought about doing this and then I disregarded it. Or, 5 years ago, I tried to do this thing. I started the business, it failed. It was along the lines of this thing, Vanessa, that you have here. But because the business failed, I just didn't go forward. There's some kind of roadblock typically, but the information that's on there, typically people really resonate with it. And they're like, I thought that was just a random idea. I didn't know that was like a part of like my real calling. I didn't know, that was da da da. So it's always really intriguing, captivating, and it's such an honor to connect people to and to help them to help them pull things outside of them, out, pull it from the depths of their heart, from the depths of their mind, wherever it got buried or pushed to the side, and really bring it to the surface. So that way, this time, they can honor it, they could be aware of it, they could look at other options in their life purpose, and they could play around with ideas. And then from there, we can strategize and move forward and blend it into how they're living their lives currently.
Hmm. So you mentioned you're using astrology, human design, gene keys, numerology. Those are some of the technologies you're using. Can you kind of give it like a little Cole's notes on all four of those, and the
Yeah.
why behind them?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great question. So, yeah, with astrology, most of us are familiar with sun sign astrology, right? We all know, like, oh, I was born in April or I was born in December, so I'm a Sagittarius or I'm an Aries. But astrology is so much deeper than that, especially when we use the natal birth chart. And when we use the natal birth chart, we all have all of the signs. And so it's important for us to know, where do all of these signs fall in our chart? Because they all fall into different areas. So someone can be born in January and they're a Capricorn sun sign, but they have Sagittarius in a really important part of their chart. They have
Hmm.
Sagittarius, if they're a Capricorn rising, they have Sagittarius in their house of the subconscious mind, the house of fears, the house that includes repressed things. And so for this person, it's important for them to have the full picture of where all these other signs fall in their chart. So that way they can interact with those different areas of their life in
Hmm.
their most natural way. Again, we don't know it's natural to us, but if we try it out, it will feel natural, even though it might be a new path. So, astrology is important because it really gives us this blueprint on how we're here to impact the world. And of course, if you believe that the solar system is, if you believe in interconnectedness,
Yeah.
so just a quick little side note, that means everything in the universe world is connected. All people are connected in some way. We're all connected to this, to God or to the universe or however you want to call it, flow of life, whatever term you use. If you believe in that, then you might be able to understand why astrology, why the sun and the moon and like all the planets will impact our personality. So that's why it's important. It just helps us have a better understanding of who we are, like on a basic blueprint level, and it gets very advanced. But that's where,
Yeah.
if the information is delivered in a neatly packaged way, even someone who's not familiar with astrology, they will be able to understand it.
So that's astrology. I then my astrology, put it in Astrolab just to kind of get my readings, and it's pretty interesting how like detailed of a report they give you back, and it seems like a lot like me. And I just want to share with you my rising five, or my fives, my top five, and just kind of see if you like, are able to like how would you'd work with those. So like my rising sign is Sagittarius, my sun is Libra. My moon is Cancer. My north node is Gemini, and my midheaven is Virgo. So I don't know if that. What would
Yeah.
you take from that information just to kind of highlight how you use that data? You could pick one, or you could use all five.
Perfect example. So with the rising sign, it's so important for career and like our professional environment and also our life purpose. Career and life purpose, I use those terms interchangeably sometimes. They don't always go together, but
Okay.
they eventually they can, right? So you being a Sagittarius rising, like your main job, in any type of professional environment is to really bring optimism into the space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what your podcast does. At the beginning of this podcast, you're like, hey, this is stories about heroes' journeys. We're inspiring folks with these stories. We're doing this. We're staying optimistic regardless of the challenges. We'll talk about the challenges, but we're going to come right back to optimism and inspiration, right? And so that's one thing with Sagittarius. Also, with Sagittarius, taking big ideas, advanced ideas. Philosophy is important for Sagittarius, traveling, really expanding your horizons. Again, with your podcast, you're expanding your horizons because you're hearing different stories and you're presenting them and amplifying them out to the world. So already and this is just one slice of your professional world, right? This podcast. So
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Be Beautiful. Thank you. And so I guess the best way to use this results is to work with a coach like yourself to kind of help, like that specializes in this knowledge, to kind of delve deeper. And I'm excited to explore your origins of how you got here. But first, I just want to kind of examine the other few. So the next is human design. So if you can kind of give just a brief overview on what human design is. And then I also did my human design, and I'm a generator. And so what you would do with that information.
Yay. And generator, can I get your profile numbers too?
Yeah, let me go into that.
It might be
So
right underneath. It looks
it's
like a fraction.
yeah, it's like this is my chart. And so the numbers that like are 29,
That's one
34,
gate.
9.
Yeah,
The other
where it
one,
says generator, look right underneath that. It should say profile.
okay, okay. View your chart. I think that's what it is. Yeah, generator, profile 3, 5.
Yay,
Um,
3-5. All right, cool. I'm a 3-5 too.
okay.
So I'll start off with just describing human design. It's a newer technology. It's not as ancient as astrology is. It does include astrology, though. There are placements. So there's a moon placement, there's a sun placement. If you look on the side, there's some boxes or numbers with the moon and the sun. There are placements that correlate to the solar system. But on the basic level, human design combines the Kabbalah system, which are those lines with the different numbers, the gates, the chakra system, which are those shapes, the
Hmm.
the squares, the triangles, and then it combines just quantum physics, really, and it combines all of those into a system. And almost, it's not necessarily a personality test because you're not really testing your personality, but all those gates and shapes, those centers, do have superpowers and they have qualities and characteristics that may be more natural to you or less natural to you or very variable depending on your environment, depending on how things are color coded, shaded, we call it defined or undefined in human design. So human design seems a little complicated, but bringing it back to the basics, it just starts off with the type, right? There's 5 total types in human design, starting with well, I'll start with manifester, manifesting generator, generator, projector, and reflector. So that's like if you think of an onion, that flaky part of the onion that's on the outside. The types of human design, that's the first layer. It's a very generalized layer, But it's also important because all 8 billion people, we fall into one of those 5 categories. Just again, very, very general before we get super complicated. So that right away can help us understand ourselves. So you being a generator, that tells us that your task here in the world is to find your right work, life purpose, and it could change over time. Like I said, there's also phases and there's 8 different themes to our life purpose. But you are someone here, like, even if you had as much money as Bill Gates tomorrow, you would still, we're just guessing here based on you being a generator, you would still want to work with certain things. Like you would still want to do things that feel purposeful, that feel satisfying. And being satisfied is also one of it's your signature theme as a generator. So everything that you do in your life, from the meals that you're eating to the things that you're doing in your leisure time, you may not be conscious of it, but subconsciously you're looking for satisfaction. And so that's a signature thing that kind of fuels you. It keeps you going as a generator. So yeah, does that make sense so far about yours?
Yeah, no, that makes sense so far. And then the next one you use is the gene keys. So then if you kind of just kind of give us a quick overview of what that is, and I'll just share with you a bit of my results, and then we'll see how you kind of just take a bit of all this information and how you use that, just to kind of really exemplify how you use this for your coaching and
Yeah,
in your work.
beautiful, beautiful. So Gene Keys is a little bit of a spin-off from human design. It got birthed out of human design. So the things that we call the types, like the generator, the manifesting generator, all of that is the same. The profile numbers are the same. The meanings are pretty much the same. The difference between gene keys and human design when we get into the gates. So I saw on your chart quickly, you had gate 29.
Mm-hmm.
So with gene keys, they take it's a little bit more of an advanced perspective. It tells us, okay, if a person has gate 29, which has a few different names. One of the names is called devotion in quantum human design. And it's basically about commitment. Gene Keys gives us like a lower frequency. Like if someone is struggling with that particular gate, whether they know it or not, but if they're struggling with commitment, what is the lowest, the low frequency, for lack of a better word. I don't like saying that, but here we are. Okay, so the low frequency, what does that mean for that person? What is the gift of gate 29? As someone's graduating, working with this characteristic, this theme of commitment in their life, they're trying to choose the right commitments. Someone with the gate 29, they might overcommit. This is the type of person, they might stay in a relationship too long. They might stay in a relationship when it's not good for them anymore, when they actually need to self preserve and have boundaries and get out. Someone with the gate 29 might say yes to everything, right? Yes to this, yes to that, yes to this, not really prioritizing their highest priorities. Or they could, on the flip side, because of some of the drama that can happen with that, the trauma of overcommitting, they could also go to a state where they're just like, I'm just not going to commit. Because they're like, I've overcommitted before. There's a little bit of drama that can happen. But anyway, going back to Gene Keys, it gives us the shadow, the gift, and the city of these different gates. So each gate is kind of like a journey. It's not like, oh, definitive, like, oh, Derek has gate 29, so that means he's committed 100% of the time. No, no, no. It's more nuanced than that. So Gene Keys allows us to really navigate these characteristics. So if someone had, relating this to the career, another quick example, if someone had gate 29 in their sun position, in their sun placement, conscious sun, this tells us a lot about what they would do for their career, or the themes that they would bring into their life purpose or career if they had it in the sun position. If they had it in the sun position, this means like they need to bring like this energy of commitment. So maybe they would be a great coach, or they would be an accountability coach or something like that. Or maybe they would help, maybe they would be a relationship counselor and help people who have commitment issues one way or another, right? It can play out in so many different ways. So that's if it was in the sun position. Now, Gene Keys would let us know if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I have gate 29 in my son, and you're saying this should be a part of my work, but I'm not committed to my personal life, I would say, totally understand. You're your best and worst client. Two, let's work at the shadow and see where you are in the shadow frequency that Gene Key provides us. And then it's a process of getting that person in alignment into commitment themselves. And now they can go be the commitment coach for other people.
Yeah, great. So there's four for like I'm start just familiarizing myself with gene keys, and like I have there's your life work, my evolution, my radiance, and my purpose. And so are those all, then they all have a shadow side as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Um you do they all four work together, or they're kind of individually? Like, so my life's work is gene key 18, my evolution gene key 17, my radiance gene key 52, and my purpose, Gene Key 58. What do you take from that?
58 is your purpose. Wow. So you're definitely here to help humanity towards improvement and find joy. Improving systems, improving processes, and finding joy through that. So yes, they all do work together. They all do work together. Now, the magic happens is, yes, Gene Keys gives us that great layout, our evolution, and there's also another one in there called the Pearl. Now when we take those and we also layer it, or basically if we have someone interpret all that stuff in conjunction with astrology, we actually get really specific details on how you can actually go about implementing gate 58 into your life.
Mm,
Like, what setting, with who? Is it one person? Is it a group? Do you need to do this in the public eye? Is this a private matter? Like, we actually get really good details when we start to take everything that Gene Key gives us and combine it
mm.
with astrology and the other systems.
Okay, and then the last one you use is numerology, and so that one I wasn't able to kind of familiarize. I know I've heard of numerology, but how does that apply to an individual?
Cool. And I'll just tell you something real quick in case I don't know if you have Chat GPT on your phone or what you're using, but to add up, to get your life path number, this is one of the ones that I use. All you have to do is add up your birth month, your day,
Mm-hmm.
and your year. So
So that's
Chat
what we're
GPT is good
looking.
at doing that, or you could just go to one of those sites and it'll give you a number.
Life path number, you add up what, sorry?
You
Birth,
just add up your whole birthday, just the
birth
date,
date.
that one's the simplest one to calculate. There's other ones where it's a funny calculation,
So
like the
you
soul urge number, but that one's pretty easy. It's the month, add up the month, day, and year. Yeah.
month, day, and like just like addition, like plus, like so like
Yep.
my
So if you're born, you said you were
September 29, 1983.
okay, cool. I can't do that calculation,
So
but
that's like
I'll,
229 plus 9 plus 1983. So that's like 2021
okay,
is
and
the
then
number,
break
I
that
guess.
down to break it down one more time.
So September, so that's 9, right? The date is 29, and then the year 1983. So that's 2021 is all added together.
2021. So then that would be 5, right?
5.
Yeah, you break it down to the simplest number. I never do these things manually.
Oh.
Yeah, you break so
Oh,
if you got 2021, so then we would
yeah.
add the 2 plus 2, that's 4,
Oh,
plus
I
1
get it. Yeah.
is 5. Yeah,
Yeah. 5.
cool.
Okay.
So you're a life path 5.
Okay. And what does that
Which
mean?
is actually really cool because it coincides with a lot of the energies of Sagittarius, and you're a
Hmm.
Sagittarius rising. So let me step back one step, and I'll just explain the life
Yeah.
numerology, like the
Life
basic.
numerology path.
Sure. Um, yeah, so with numerology, it's just another, almost like a checks and balance system. So we can get really detailed when we're comparing the other information, when we're kind of compiling everything. And numerology is super simple. It's just a matter of adding up different certain days of your birthday or your name. So when we get to
Yeah.
other numbers in your profile, like your soul urge number, that tells us like what you deeply, deeply desire in life. And it's a short explanation. It's not complicated. For some people, they desire like relationship or partnership. For some people, it's more like they just desire peace. For some
Yeah.
people, it's creativity and passion, and for others, it's money and power. So it's a simple explanation, but it gives us a different flavor when we're working with, again, the astrology, the human design, and the gene keys.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is you add up, most people will need their full name at birth, first, middle, and last if you have a middle. And for certain, depending on what we're calculating, again, there's an expression number, there's different ones. So when we're doing life purpose, we're mainly using just the life path number right now and the soul
Okay.
urge, just to keep it simple.
Soul urge.
Soul urge.
Okay. Okay.
And so
Okay.
the soul urge also has a name, the heart's desire number.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that ChatGPT helps you do that.
Yeah, you could just say, "Hey, ChatGPT, what is my soul urge number?" And then tell ChatGPT your full name.
What is my soul urge number? Um, and then you need to tell your name for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Yeah, I'll give that a try. And then you use all this data with your clients to really help them with their life purpose.
Yeah. And
So
so it
how,
comes down to 8 themes. Oh, sorry.
okay, no, go ahead. Yeah.
So what we do, this could be a lot of when I describe this, people are like, "Whoa, it seems like a lot of work." For me, it's not. It's like another Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. I nerd out on this stuff if you can't tell. But what we do with this information is we put it into certain categories. So we have 8 themes of our life purpose. Now, before I get into my version of the 8 themes, my version was inspired by a system called Ikigai. Have you heard of
Yeah.
Ikigai?
Yeah. Like, there's like, there's different
Yeah, there's a
spheres.
diagram and there's like circles that all connect in different spaces. So Ikigai, that's actually like a remodel from what a Spanish astrologer did previously. And then
Okay.
someone came along and expanded it. They added on to it, they did their own thing, and then they used the Japanese term Ikigai, which just means a reason for being. So there was a point in time before I started to do this purpose work background story, just on the Ikigai, just for a second. I wanted the Ikigai to really work for me. Because again, I felt this call towards purpose, but I just wasn't as clear as I am now. This is like 5 years ago. So I did some research on it and I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. Ikigai, what it does do is it does have like compartments. If you look at that diagram with the different circles, it'll say, okay, this circle is what the world needs. This circle is what you can get paid for. And then this circle is like what you're good at, right? So, and
Yeah.
there's a few others. Um, but it doesn't tell you like how to extract that information. So when I came to my process, I did incorporate like maybe 2 of those, like, what the world needs from you is also part of one of my 8 themes, but then I kind of just expanded and did like 6 others or 7 others that are uniquely to my process. So my 8 themes are, the first one is, what is your professional persona? What is your professional persona? And then again, the formula, I'm pulling together 3 things out of all those systems we just went through.
Hmm.
And then the second thing is really important. Everyone loves this section. It's nicknamed the money section. My clients are like, "Can we go over the money section again?" But it's really called how to access unlimited resources and rewards. How to access unlimited resources and rewards. And remember, this is unique to you and it's going to be very natural to you. So someone might be a very successful business owner and maybe they've made a lot of money, but maybe they that fulfillment is not there. So when we're doing this section, quote unquote, the money section, we're not telling them just how to go make $1 billion randomly. We're telling them how to access unlimited resources while being in alignment with who they are, and then reaching fulfillment along the way. So that's section 2, or theme
Hmm.
2. Number 3 is what the world needs from you. And this is the one that was inspired by the Ikigai system,
Hmm.
because we all do have something to contribute to the world. It's just what can we contribute that's so natural to where it's not a force. We don't have to push ourselves out the door to go to work. We don't have to push ourselves to do this. What is going to be the least route of resistance and how we can contribute? So that's number 3. Number four is how to get into a flow state. And this is going to be based on what we love and what we value. Now, most people don't know what they deeply value, and some people don't know what they love at times. No worries. We grab that from your charts. We grab that from all the data, right? The next one, number 5, is what is your mission and message? And this, most of us really don't know what our mission is, and we don't know what our message is. So it really helps to pull that information from the charts. The 6th one is, I think I got these out of order, which is so interesting. I never do that. The 6th one is, your highest potential. The 6th one is your highest potential. Like, who are you when you actually get out of your comfort zone? So a lot of us have comfort zones that we get really, really comfortable. It's just quick example, because I know this one can be a little elusive. For me, I can be so comfortable in my house to
Yeah.
where I won't leave. I'll leave, but I won't really go out and like have fun, or yeah, I'll have fun, but not that often. But for me in
Okay.
my chart, it really requires me to go networking every day. In my chart, in my information, I do need to go to that beach party. I do need to go to that birthday party and just mingle and have fun. But I'm so happy in my own world sometimes that I really have to be aware of, okay, this is the week where I need to step outside of my comfort zone. So that's the highest potential. And then the next one is what needs to be unlocked and unblocked. And so typically we have some blocks, most of us. We have some challenges that are kind of like our soul's mission to actually work through. So our soul's mission is not just what you do for work or money or like how you contribute to the world. There's also a theme and a section in this, is that some people signed up in this lifetime to really master, I'll just say, like, master their fears. Like they really signed up to like go through a deep process of working with fears over and over again so they can become an expert in that. They may not get paid for it. It may not be a part of their public image, but it's still part of their soul's experience, because their soul really wanted to experience what it's like to overcome fear over and over again. So that could just be one example.
Wow, this is so interesting. And I was able to find my soul urge number, and it's 3. And 3 has to do with like a lot of the stuff you said earlier, like creativity, self-expression, joy. So it's like eerie how all these different technologies, whether that be astrology, gene keys, um,
Numerology.
numerology, um, and the human design, how they're all pointing at the same thing for me, it seems. Um, how does this work? And it's all based on our date of birth, a time, and location. What is happening here, Vanessa?
It's a formula. So yeah, and the fact that they're all pointing towards the same thing for you is quite fascinating. That means that you're probably going to have a lot of cohesiveness in all 8 of those themes. All the different 8 themes that I just went through. You might
Yeah.
have some things repeating, but also overlapping. And so it gives you some cohesiveness. And so self-expression, joy, um, like that's going to come into play with your gate 58, depending on where your 58 is. It could be in your moon sign, it could be in so many different places.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically all these different things. And what I'll say is people don't need to figure out where these things go. So for instance, the life path number is actually a part of our money section. There's 6 different variables in our money section. Again, this is the computing and the interpretation I do for people. I just hand them the answers. I'm like, hey, here's a sheet with your answers on there. You get to select what feels good for you from the interpretation. So they don't have to interpret it. But for example, the life path number, and let's just say something else in there. in their astrology chart, their second house is a part of their money section. So when we combine those things, it might say this so for one of my recent clients, for their money section, they actually need to reach a lot of people from home, and that person needs to be at home most of the time. And they're a systems builder. Their life path number is a systems. It's someone who builds systems day in and day out. But the
Uh-huh.
systems that they do for online, whether it's drop shipping or e-commerce, can reach masses amount of people. And again, this is just their money section. It's not, they get into a flow state in another way, and what they're passionate about and how they take aligned action is there's other like details, there's other information that like all connects, but at least they have like this one page life purpose flow chart where they can kind of see all the different facets of themselves. At the end of this process, we do like a one pager, it's a life purpose flow chart. They get to see all the different facets of themselves on a one page flow chart. And it's very simple. And then from there, people they look at their money section, or maybe they look at what their mission and their message is. And then from there, they can create goals, milestones. Okay, what is my 2025? Now that I identified what my message is, do I want to go on that TED Talk next year? And if I, now that I know how to take aligned action on my passions from my flow chart, do I want to do this thing? Do I want to take that trip? And they could start to really like strategize their lives, right? Your year, your month, your week. But this time you're doing it with clarity, confidence, and you have direction from the information.
Hmm. Yeah, no, this is really great to understand. I'm just trying to understand how you would like someone with like a logical brain, like kind of like scientific, or I don't know, like I feel like there a lot of people would come up to resistance on this because they don't understand. Um, how would you? And I'm open to all this, and I'm just struggling to understand how this works. Like, is everything predetermined? Like, how does our date, location, time, how does it have such an impact on who we become, and where does the power of choice come into play?
This is the $1,000,000 question, by the way. I love this one. So this one's dicey only because it's going to be so personal to each person's belief system,
Yeah.
right? So is everything predetermined? Yes and no. The big themes, yes, that's what astrology is. So for instance, I have a lot of leadership qualities. Can I resist that? Sure, I can. That's where my free will comes in. Will I experience more resistance in my life, and maybe some unnecessary struggles if I keep resisting leadership? Yes, probably. But I probably will, just based on the information that I know. I'm not saying every person is like that. That's just what my chart is. I can only speak on mine right now. So yeah, we have free will, but there's a reason why I came into this world with leadership qualities. There's some big plan, there's some big contribution, there's some crisis that I probably helped someone with along the way. I mean, I have helped people with a lot of micro crises in their personal lives because intuitive healer, psychic, and coaching and all of that. But leading up to this bigger stage that I'm probably going on, there might be some other solutions that I'm a part of that my leadership qualities can really come into play. So there's a reason why I'm here at this time. So that I think is predetermined, but there are individual choice, like the choices, like how we decide to do things is where we have a little bit of flexibility. So it's kind of like yes and no. And then one more thing on your question, why does the solar system impact us and who we are? That's a very deep question. But so my way of saying it, again, this is only going to resonate to people who have similar beliefs as me, but we are all connected, and I really think that we're all one at some point in time. You kind of zoom out and you go to this more expanded perspective. We're all one soul, and then we kind of come down into these different souls to have different experiences at the same time.
Beautiful. So how did you get here? You said this things were not as clear for you as they are now as it was 5 years ago. So let's rewind this, and how did you get to where you are now? You can go back
Yeah.
even more than 5 years. Trace it
Okay.
back wherever you wish.
Okay. Okay. I'll start with college. I wanted to make an impact, but I didn't know how. And I thought politics, like getting my degree in politics was like the easiest way because politics in policy, it deals with state and local government or federal government, and it's policy for the everyone in the country or everyone in the state. So I started to study that. But I knew I didn't, I went deep into it. I did my undergrad in political science and my graduate degree in public policy, and I was on the track to work for a politician, which I did for a little while, like less than a year, very quick, because as soon as I started to stay on that path, I felt so trapped. I just, and a lot of my personal issues were actually um getting worse. Like I was really struggling with my personal happiness, like mental health, emotional health, partying a lot. All of the things in the party lifestyle was kind of like my escape. And and it was just because I had this dissatisfaction. I didn't know like what I was doing or why I was going to school for those types of things or why I had certain jobs. Um, so that was kind of like the bulk of my journey. And then getting caught up in the party world for so many years, after the political stuff, I was like, I don't belong here. I'm just going to go party and like do all these other things. And of course, there was some like childhood trauma and like other stuff that wasn't resolved that I was trying to like self medicate, of course. But I was also just kind of being a rebel. It was like, well, if I don't know what I want to do, then I'm just going to go be a rebel in life. And then eventually, when I did real estate for about 4, 5, 6 years, that's when I really started to focus more on myself. I didn't feel locked into real estate, but it was something other than politics. And I just felt like it was a time for me to kind of get to know myself. And it gave me the freedom to like take time off from work and go on retreats, go do breath work, go with certain like personal development communities and do personal healing. And for me, I always had been interested in spiritual healing and alternative healing just because traditional therapy in the past had not been my path. So I really dived into that during my real estate days. And for that time, that was my purpose. My purpose at that time was to really just improve my emotional and mental well-being and heal and integrate my life. And from that, I came out of that experience really empowered to help other people do the same thing. But even when I first started my healing business as a energetic healer, I did some, training in shamanism and all types of energy modalities. I still didn't that was the 5 years ago piece. I still didn't know uh what my purpose was. I just started my business and I just started charging people for sessions, like it's not real estate. And I'm still kind of doing real estate, just for like consistent income and just stability. But I set out on this new path and I didn't really know what was going to come of it until I started doing with the healing I added in human design coaching. Again, not knowing that human design was even capable of helping us discover our purpose. I wasn't really, I felt like I wasn't on purpose, but I didn't know that that was going to be a part of my work. Didn't know human design would help me or anyone else with that. I was just doing the basic readings. Hey, Derek, you're a generator. So and so, you're a projector. This is what it means. Da, da, da. And then things just progressed from there. And then part of my purpose is also to help people transform on really deep levels. That's in my chart as a Scorpio. So I I realize I want to help people like transform more. Like after someone does like the emotional and mental healing, what's next? And that's where the purpose stuff came into play.
Hmm. What does the emotional and mental healing look like for you and for people you work with?
Yeah, great question. For me, it was really looking at the shames, like shame, fear, guilt, the the contracting emotions that were holding me back, um, the contracting emotions that were keeping me in that disassociation state when I said I was like partying a lot and like really disassociating from society or my responsibilities. It was because there was something inside of me didn't feel okay, and it was like fear, shame, guilt, anger. It was those, I was just so weighed down by those emotions. It was attached to things in my past, but I had never looked back in my past to see what exactly would be bothering me or what was there. So that's what it looked like for me. For other people, it's really just integrating their life experiences. As a healer, when I say the word heal or healing, it's not that we need to heal a broken person. It's really healing our perspective, because sometimes something can happen to us and our perspective can be in the worst case scenario. So when we get to time to integrate, when we work with a guide or a therapist or an emotional healer or an intuitive healer like myself, we can actually come up with our own meaning for what took place in our lives. And chances are, with maturity, we get older, we have different experiences. Chances are, if you allow yourself to redefine your life experiences as you move forward, you will find that you don't have a negative view of something that happened 15 years ago, not as much as you would. And then there's also ways that we can, someone can really process something that happened, maybe process a car accident or really process the time that they got left at the grocery store, to really like let the situation complete, and then they're actually okay. Sometimes when people feel like they can't move forward and mentally, emotionally, the situation, they didn't get to fully understand it. They didn't fully process it. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps. I'm curious about the dissociation. Um, if you could kind of delve a bit more into that in your path out of the dissociation. So the dissociation looked like you just kind of didn't feel like you fit in, like your paradigm did not fit with the external world paradigm, and you just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna kind of just have fun. Is that what I'm
Yes.
understanding?
Yeah, and I didn't know like who I was or what I was doing.
Yeah,
It's like, imagine me, graduating from my master's degree, and I'm like, wait, why did I do this? Why did I spend all of this money, all of
yeah,
this time getting a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and then having a job lined up and have several internships before that, and just really feeling like a failure, even though I wasn't on paper, right? But that just goes to show I was, now that looking back, now that I know, I was kind of following some conditions, some standards in my family, like things that were normal for other people. Maybe it was more natural for those other people in my family to go that route and do that path. But for
yeah.
me, it wasn't. And so I just felt really dissatisfied with my life. Um, so the disassociation, the partying covered that up. The substances covered it right up. And so I was able to kind of make it through the day eventually, until I was like able to pull myself out of that.
By discovering your life purpose through these technologies.
Well, I would say I pulled myself out of it first by just switching my career into something that gave me this space. So getting out of politics and going into real estate, a career where I can create more time for myself to go meditate, to go on a hike, to kind of to not like, work as much. Real estate, I joke around because it's like realtors will stop working in like October. Like, this is a joke, right? Like loosely, we um because real estate kind of slows down for wintertime. So from October to January, things aren't so like rigorous. You can, you can kind of, your most of your clients you probably would have worked on for the previous year. So I think the first step was, before I discovered this phase of my purpose that I was in, I gave myself space to do the emotional work, the mental work, and to integrate my life and to find out, okay, what is really bothering me? Why do I feel like I have to go out and party till 8 a.m.? Because there's something that's bothering me that I'm trying to run away from. And with the real estate career, it allowed me to experiment and to discover what I truly value. And I came to value health and well-being, right? And then I
Hmm.
was able to help others and then be on the path now.
Yeah. So often people get stuck at that crossroads of should and must. So the path of should is like the shoulds that you're taught by your parents, by culture, by TV, by the education system. And the must is like that inner calling, that knowing in um, our soul's mission, right? Our life purpose that is calling us. That starts out as whispers and gets louder and louder the more we ignore it. Most people get trapped on that path of should, um, often because of fear. What advice would you have to someone listening, a fellow hero on that path that are stuck at that crossroads? Like they're feeling that calling to go travel or to quit their job and do that yoga training or to invest in like being a life coach or whatever. But they're stuck. They're stuck at that crossroads of should and must, paralyzed by fear, maybe shame, maybe guilt. Um,
Mm,
how do you advise those people
yeah,
based on your
beautiful
personal
question.
experience?
Beautiful question. First, I'll say that my perspective on being stuck is yes, sometimes we are literally stuck, right? At a job, like we really feel like we are stuck, and other times it's we're just being stubborn. Other times our stubbornness is creating the illusion that we're stuck. So just to put that out there, just for some food for thought. And for someone who is feeling a calling, though, first thing, step one, give yourself more space. So, in your current career, if you can work from home an extra day or whatever that means, or maybe get some extra vacation time or something, give yourself more space to just chill, relax. You don't have to go discover your purpose right away, but just allow yourself to get out of that survival mode. I think one enemy, Derek, of our life purpose is the survival mode. Most of us are like, well, I don't care about my life purpose. I need to put food on the table. I need to pay the mortgage. I need to do this, right? So if we give ourselves more space, that will help release some of the survival mode, maybe not all of it right away. So that's step one. And then step two is to get curious. Curiosity is the antidote to doubt. And also, if we're in the illusion that we're stuck, chances are doubt is present. Doubt is saying, you can't do anything. You've only been a lawyer. Why would you go do something else? You can't do anything else. You only know how to be a lawyer, right? So, but when you're curious and you just start to loosen the the boundaries that you've been in this far, and you allow curiosity to come in, like, what would it look like if I did take this intuitive course, or if I did go to this retreat, or if I did do this thing. Just allow the possibilities to come in and happen. And then also, for any beginners out there, if you're not sure how to make decisions, human design, I know I'm talking about it in this conversation mostly in relation to life purpose, but on a basic level, it can help us make decisions like, okay, how do I decide, to go, like, what to do with my vacation time? How do I decide to go to a retreat or to take that course or to do whatever? If you learn your type, like a generator, projector, manifester, and you learn, we call it the authority and strategy. So after this podcast, if all you do is go look at your human design type and you look at your strategy and your authority, that will give you a blueprint for how to make decisions. It might say, hey, you need to if something presents itself, it might say you need to wait 3 days before you make a decision. That's your natural way of making decisions. Or it might say you need to make decisions through talking out loud to someone. Like, don't ask for advice, just call up Derek, call up Vanessa, and just talk to them about what you're planning on doing, and you will arrive at your own answer without Vanessa or Derek giving you their opinion, right? So that's what human design is really good for on a basic level, strategy and authority. It can guide you on how to make decisions for yourself. So in combination with giving yourself space to see what's possible for you, to allow curiosity to come in, now you have a way to make decisions on what to do with your time, and then opportunity can come in from there.
Hmm. That's beautiful. So, so much of this information you've learned must have been brought to you by various mentors and helpers you've met along your path, whether they be in person or in books, YouTube, um, living or deceased. So let's just take a moment to acknowledge some of the key mentors and helpers that you've learned on your path. Who are they? Who were they? And what were your primary takeaways you learned from them that you've applied into your being?
I love this. I love this. Well, Ra Uberhu, he's the founder of Human Design, and he's no longer living. But studying him and his work, it's he really created a movement for self-discovery. And that really resonated with me because I also feel like now I'm creating a movement, but my movement's a lot easier based on the work, based on human design. So it's kind of like his work made it possible for me to do my work and kind of carry the torch forward for discovering who we are, self-discovery, and therefore discovering our soul's mission. So Ra Uberhu, and then Karen Curry Parker, and she is known for quantum human design, which is a newer version, almost same thing, just different language a little bit. Um, but she has taught me really that almost everything needs to be improved. Um, and that was really important for me because I had doubts about my path as well. I thought, there's our astrology already exists, human design already exists. People don't need me to like tell them how this, relates to their purpose. Like that was my doubt. And then I realized, yes, there is a need for it because this bridge between these technologies, these systems, I'm not going to say I'm the first person doing it, but there's a demand for it, and the demand is not being met completely yet. Hopefully more people start to do purpose work the way I'm doing it or in similar ways, and we could start to bridge the gap between, okay, this is all my astrology data, how does this apply to my real life? When we bridge that gap more and more, it's helpful. So Karen Curry Parker, with quantum human design, she took the human design information and redid it, just like I can't think of his name right now, but just like the guy who also did Gene Keys. There's spin-off. So it's this constant process of improvement, which you're probably a part of that constant process of improvement because you have gate 58 and so do I. So you might be improving something, and it depends on the placement. I don't know where it's at if it's under a certain planet, but for you too, just to make it relatable, you might be in your near future, or even right now, you might be improving a process so that other people can benefit from the material. And then one last mentor, I would say Shaman Durek. He has a book called Spirit Hacking. And I was coming out of the spiritual closet around that time because I had come from a really religious background. And even posting my work, like my psychic work on social media, was like really daunting at one point. But it was through reading his book and following his work, and also meeting him in person was really impactful. It allowed me to really just embrace all the weird, awkward things that don't make sense and just do it anyway.
That's a powerful advice. Um, so regarding we've talked about like my gate 58. I think like what you're looking for is like line 5. So that's like my voice frequency. Is that what you're referring to where it sits?
No, I'm
Um,
I'm looking for the planet, and yeah, like on the side, there's two boxes that
okay,
are
okay,
running down the page.
okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'll have to just send it to you after,
Yeah,
and you
you'll
can
have to
kind
send
of
it to me.
help me. But close every episode with a few questions, and we've got to that point. So I just like to ask you these questions. First question: through your journey, what have you learned about love? What is that? What
Hmm.
does that mean to you?
Your questions are amazing. I wonder if you have gate 63. People with gate 63 always ask really great questions. Um, you know, I believe now that we are the source of love for ourselves and for others. Like love is not outside of us. It starts within and then it expands. It's like a light that starts in the middle of your heart and it fills up the space until it gets outside your shoulders. And depending on how you nurture it and how much aware you are of it, then it'll expand and expand. And so that you have an overflow of love to give without sacrificing any of your self love.
Hmm. I love that. Beautiful. Next question. Through all the highs and lows that is this hero's journey, the Viti, the whirlpool of life, what has been the greatest life lesson you've learned on your path that you feel called in this moment to share with us?
Mm. Compassion is the antidote to shame.
What do you mean
Compassion
by
is
that?
the energy of compassion can help us individually or us collectively. It can help us um, come out of shame. It can help us process shame. It can help us heal from shame and move beyond it because, if we stay in shame too long, it can contract. I mean, it has its purpose, right? It's like I don't know if we have time to go into this. I'll just try to wrap it up really quickly, but like obviously no one should be harming someone else. No one should plan on murdering someone else, right? So shame and guilt are kind of like these emotions that if the moral compass isn't there, then we can kind of project and be like, oh no, I would feel so guilty harming that person or taking that parking spot or stealing that thing from the store. I'd feel so guilty. So it is there to keep us in alignment with our integrity and our values. But over time, sometimes we're shameful of things that we had no control of or things that happen to us, and it can keep us from wanting to be seen on social media. It can keep us from going to talk to that girl and ask her on a date or whatever it is. And so when we have compassion for our life story and our life experiences, then compassion can help us heal that. It can be the antidote for shame.
And compassion for the self ripples onwards to compassion for all our neighbors and everyone around us all the external. I feel so that's a beautiful thing. Final question. We've examined your past, we've examined your present. Let's get into your future. Let's fast forward many years from now, many decades from now, along an 85-year-old Vanessa Soul. Who is that 85-year-old woman? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? What legacy have you left in your time here, and what are the predominant feelings in your being?
Ah, you have to have gate 63. These questions are so good. Um, the first vision that came to me when you asked that is I was dancing. I was 85 years old and I was dancing, loving life, expressing myself, and then I saw myself dancing on top of a mountain. So I
Okay.
don't know if that means I'm still climbing mountains at 85. Maybe that means I'm still doing fitness things, I'm still hiking. I've created longevity for myself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And yeah, self expression has been one of my themes. And so I suspect that will continue. The impact and the legacy is really helping society evolve beyond um, beyond survival mode. And that can mean so many different things in so many different ways. It sounds like a big job. I know I'm not the only person. I know there's so many of us out there that are also on this same path of helping people come into thrival. Like it's not a utopian idea, it's literally like, hey, we can all improve our quality of life, our quality of health, all at the same time, all together. Like no one has to struggle this much anymore, whatever area that might be. So Yeah, thrival, helping people thrive. Hopefully that'll be a part of my legacy at 85, dancing on a mountain.
Amazing. So I would just like you just to sit in that energy, that frequency of thriving, dancing in the mountain fit like a wise woman, a wise queen who has helped people evolve. And then I'll take us back. I'll take us back to the present. And that 85-year-old woman, she whispers, Vanessa, in your ear a message. What does she say to you?
Uh, I heard you got it, but I don't know what that means. Let me tune in one more time. And she says love is life. Love is
You've
life.
got it. Love is life. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I've learned so much, and there's so many areas for me to explore from this conversation. I'm just excited to stay curious and further delve deeper into this life experience, this expansion, this thrival. For people looking to connect with you, they can find you online. On Instagram, it's sacred underscore soul, and then a couple underscores. The easiest way to find you, I think, is just write Vanessa Soul on Instagram, and from your Instagram, you have a whole bunch of links to the amazing things that you're doing. You have
Yes.
YouTube, you have your podcast that is available on all podcast platforms. So much great things. Any
Yes.
closing words or where they could
Yeah, I
find
just
you?
want to say, yes, reach out to me on Instagram. And also, if you've been really inspired by this conversation and you just want to dip your toes in just to see what's in your astrology and human design chart in regards to your career or life purpose, there's a free link, a free 15-minute session, 15 minutes, super short and sweet. I promise it won't be overwhelming, but it'll be enough for you to kind of get a taste of this stuff and see what information is available to you. So I know you'll have that link for them as well. So thank you,
Yeah.
Derek. This has been an amazing conversation. So much fun.
Thank you. Thank you. And we close every podcast just with a digital fist bump, a step into the winner circle. Boom. Thank you. All
Boom.
right. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, and I hope to connect soon. We'll have to have you back on again because there's just so much more to discuss with you.
Love that.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye bye.